Okay, so I've been thinking about making this video ever since the new trailer for Marvel's Wolverine has come out, and I've seen other people make videos like this, and it's basically a wish list of things that they want to see in Marvel's Wolverine. Now, so I have 9 things that I have listed. I made like a list of things that, we're gonna go over of, stuff that could possibly be in the Wolverine game, or certain characters that could show up, or certain mechanics, or like whatever. And I just wanted to go through the list of things, and yeah, that's gonna be the video. And so without further ado, let's get straight into this list. Okay, so the first thing that I have on my list is, how open will the game be in terms of areas? Now, we do know in terms of the different areas that you're going to be exploring in Wolverine, there is Madripoor, then you have, I think, Tokyo, Japan is another area, and you have Canada. And in terms of like what I've seen so far out of all the areas that we've seen, it does seem like Madripoor is the most open of the areas, and so it's gonna be interesting to see what you can do in terms of like side quests and activities and everything like that. I don't have necessarily any ideas of like what the side quests are gonna be like in terms of like, are you just going to meet people around the city or area that you're in and just like get a mission, or is it going to be more specific than that? I know, Insomniac has done the Spider-Man games, and that is, based in New York City, and that's the area that's the sandbox that you're basically in. And those, in that game, in terms of like the side activities, I know in I think Spider-Man 2, and they also had this in Miles Morales, you had like the phone app that you would use, and that's how you would get side quests in that game. So I don't know in Wolverine, is it going to be like the same thing, or is it going to be like different? I'm assuming that it's going to be different, but yeah, in terms of like in my opinion, I don't want it to be like a Spider-Man style, like open world type thing of like, I don't know. I do think this game is going to be obviously just more linear in everything, just in the fact that like, when you're talking about Wolverine and, versus like a Spider-Man game, in terms of like, I guess, where you're going to be able to go and how, because in the Spider-Man games, you're swinging around. That's how you get around the city, and that's how you get around your environment and areas. But with Wolverine, I guess like in the trailer, at least we see like Wolverine running on a rooftop in Madripoor. And he's like, I guess like jumping like to rooftop, and he's got like this thing where like I think he slides for a little bit, but like when he slides, like he uses his claws to get like grip onto like the building as well. And so I don't know if you're gonna be able to. I don't know. In my brain right now, I'm thinking like of different possibilities of like how you're going to be able to traverse the area. And so I'm thinking maybe you're gonna be able to climb things with your claws. Maybe you're gonna be able to like, I don't know, we don't know yet, but like those are the ideas that I have in my brain so far. Okay, so the next thing that I have on my list is, will the X-Men show up? Now, I don't want to get into like leaks or anything like that. This is going to be, I'm gonna try to avoid that type of stuff or anything like that, but I am interested to see, because we've seen, in terms of like other X-Men adjacent characters that we've seen so far, we've seen Mystique, we've seen, I forget the name of the guy that, everyone was talking about. Oh, Omega Red. That's the person that I was thinking of. So in terms of like different X-Men characters, we've only seen Mystique and Omega Red, but those are not X-Men like characters. Like when I'm talking about X-Men characters, I'm talking about characters like Cyclops, characters like Professor X. Will we see the actual, and well, I guess that's like a separate thing that I had on the list, but I guess I can just, put it in with like this one. Will we see the X Mansion in this game? Like how deep is this game going to be in terms of like seeing X-Men characters Are we gonna see Jean Grey? Are we gonna see I'm trying to think of other X-Men characters. Colossus, that's another one. I don't think that we're going to be like, in terms of, because I feel like it would be easy to just put all these different X-Men characters in the freaking you know, Wolverine game, but I feel like they should hold back on like what X-Men characters that we will see. And so I do think we will see maybe a couple of, you know, X-Men characters show up. You know, in terms of like the story for this game and like where Wolverine is in like his life, like has he already been a member of the X-Men, or is it a thing of like he hasn't joined the X-Men yet? Because obviously with the Spider-Man games, Spider-Man had already been Spider-Man for like 8 years, and so there was no like origin story, or there was no like, this is him learning how to be Spider-Man. I'm assuming that with this Wolverine, that they're going to follow the same thing of like, oh, he's already been in the X-Men, he's already, you know, met all the X-Men people and stuff like that. And in this game, he's just on his own, like right now, in like this time of, you know, him being Wolverine or whatever. And so, I am interested to know, will we see, you know, any of those characters show up in this game? And if they do, what role will they play in the story, in just, or maybe even like gameplay in this game as well? And so yeah. Okay, so this is another one. This is another like, you know, will this character make an appearance or anything like that? Will Spider-Man make an appearance in the Wolverine game? Now, I don't think that he'll make a physical appearance in this game. Now, would it be cool if Spider-Man himself physically showed up in the Wolverine game? Yes, but I do think that it would be way too easy, and it would be, I feel like, kind of unnecessary in a way. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be cool, but like, do I necessarily need it? No. I feel like the best case scenario is that we'll probably get like an Easter egg, or we'll get like a thing of like, Spider-Man will probably be brought up in a conversation, and Wolverine will probably go, oh yeah, I remember working with that guy one time, or like whatever. And that's like the thing, or that's like the best like thing that I have so far of like, you know, a Spider-Man appearance, him like maybe just a name drop, or like making a reference to like the Spider-Man games, or like whatever. And so I can see that happening, but in terms of like, if Spider-Man, because I don't think Spider-Man in terms of like story, it will, you know, be involved like at all. And so, yeah, I think there'll just be like a little Easter egg of them mentioning the character, and yeah, I feel like that would be good enough, especially for me. So yeah. Okay, so this one, I don't think will be in the game. I've heard some people talk about it, and I've heard, you know, people, you know, say like, hey, this could be a possibility, but will there be a Hulk boss battle, or will Hulk show up in this game? And I feel like this is more of like a dream, like this is more of like a fan dream of like this happening than this actually happening in this game. Listen, this would be on, like, honestly, if they did this would probably be on par with like being able to play as like Venom in Spider-Man 2. Like that moment, like being able to play as Venom, like as Venom was one of the best parts of like Spider-Man 2 in that game, or one of like best, like, you know, little sections that they had in that game. And so it would be like awesome, like, and this could even be like a secret, maybe it's like a secret side quest that you get, and maybe it's like I don't know, maybe it's like a side quest that you get, and it's like a, you know, it builds up to a boss fight with the Hulk, or maybe it's not even like a boss fight with the Hulk, maybe you're working with the Hulk, I don't know, or you're in the same team, I don't know, but it would be super cool. Obviously I think in the comics, and I think there is like one like animated cartoon where the Hulk and the Wolverine fight. Listen, that would be pretty cool. I mean, it brings into question the Avengers, and you know, because we've never seen any of the Avengers in the Spider-Man games. The only thing that we've seen is the actual Avengers Tower, and that's it. And so seeing, like, because this is also all, you know, this is supposed to be connected to the Wolverine game, it's connecting to the Spider-Man game, and so seeing Hulk in the Wolverine game would be, you know, that would be cool because it's all connected in the same. So the fact that there is a Hulk, you know, just roaming around and just like, you know, is in the same universe as Spider-Man, that in and of itself is like really cool. And so yeah, that would be really cool. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. If they do it if this game does get a sequel, I could see that happening in like a sequel, like just in terms of like how they had, you know, it could be like a an opening boss fight for perhaps even this game, but maybe even like a sequel to this game. Just how like Sandman was like the surprise, or I guess he wasn't even really surprised because he was in the trailer. And so yeah, just having like that Sandman boss fight, that bombastic, like, because every like Spider-Man game has had like, you know, the first game had Wilson Fisk, the second game had the Rhino, and the third game had Sandman. So Insomniac is definitely, when it comes to the Spider-Man games, are no strangers to having very bombastic, surprising, you know, first mission type, you know, I guess boss fights. And so that would be cool, and I would like to see it. But do I think it's going to happen? I think there is a slim chance, but it could be cool. Okay, so this is going to lean in more with the kind of traversal of the game, or how you're going to be moving around certain areas and stuff like that. We did see in the trailer, and it was only for like a couple of seconds, of Wolverine on a motorcycle. And so my question is, will the motorcycle be rideable in the game, and how much will it play into like the traversal and like the mobility of Wolverine, you know, going around places? Is it just going to be like this is only for like a set piece area, or is it going to be a thing of like, oh, this is how you get around certain areas in the game? And that, I mean, that would be pretty cool. I feel like in terms of like, because in terms of like mobility, obviously, you know, I was talking about how like Wolverine was, you know, jumping around and running around on rooftops, and that's obviously another way of, you know, traversing through like areas and stuff like that. But just having like an actual set vehicle in this game would be, I feel like that would be pretty cool. You know, having your own motorcycle, maybe you can even customize it, maybe you can even like change it up a little bit of like how it looks and everything. But yeah, that would be, you know, pretty cool. And in terms of like how, like, because I guess that just brings into question, obviously Madripoor, it seems like an open area. We don't know if Tokyo or Canada, how open those areas are going to be. And so it, you know, it plays into question, how will you just hypothetically, you know, will you be using the motorcycle to get to certain missions? You know, it's just a lot of questions that come into play, I guess, in terms of that. But it would be cool that you would, you know, be able to ride the motorcycle. It would be another way of transportation in this game. And so that's just another thing that like I thought about while making this list. And so yeah. Okay, so another thing, or I guess we can lump, because I have two of these characters on separate lists, but I guess we'll just lump them together. In terms of villains in this game, we know that, you know, Mystique is in this game. Well, we don't know if Mystique is necessarily a straight up villain. She could be like an anti-hero, or, you know, a villain that's kind of a hero at the same time. We don't know. We know Omega Red is probably a straight up villain in this game as well. And, you know, in terms of just like regular enemies, we have the Reavers and everything. But in terms of other villains, obviously some people have been, you know, wondering, oh, is these villains going to show up? So the two villains that I have on my list are, will Sabretooth show up and will Magneto show up? Now, I do think one villain is lesser to show up in this game than the other, and I do think Sabretooth has more of a chance of showing up in this game than Magneto. I don't know if because obviously Sabretooth, when it comes to like, when we talk about Wolverine, you know, villains, we, you know, think of like, oh, Sabretooth. And I could see him, I don't know if he's going to be like the main villain in this game, or if he's going to be like maybe a side villain that you tackle. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like you could easily put Sabretooth in this game, or you can like save him for like a sequel. There's a lot of things on this, or I guess like a couple of things on this list where like you probably could save it for like a sequel, like the Hulk boss battle, or Sabretooth showing up in this game or the next game. And that's the same thing with Magneto. I feel like Magneto would be a cool addition to this game, but do we necessarily, because he's not necessarily a Wolverine villain. He's more of a straight up X-Men villain. So I feel like you could have like a mention of Magneto, but like, will he be a villain that you take on in this game? Probably not. Sabretooth is probably a safer bet in terms of like, because he is a straight up Wolverine villain, so it would make more sense that he would show up. And so, yeah, I do think it could be a possibility that two of these characters, you know, two of these villains show up in this game. So, could be a possibility, but we just don't know yet. Okay, so the last thing that I have on my list is going to be tackling just straight up gameplay for this game. And the last thing I have on my list is, what will raw Marvel's Wolverine gameplay look like? We did get like maybe a couple of seconds of like certain that seemed to look like, you know, straight up gameplay for the game. We see, I think there are like two specific scenes that I think of Wolverine in like an alleyway, and what I believe is like Japan, of him taking on two, I think, Reavers in that scene. And it looks like from that scene he's like jumping to one enemy and slashing them, and then jumping to another enemy to take them out as well. And I think there's another scene of him just ripping through enemies. Obviously, you know, this game is going to be brutal. I feel like there's no doubt about it. Obviously in the trailer we saw like how bloody and brutal the combat is in this game, but in terms of like how it will feel, how, you know, you'll actually get to one enemy to another enemy, is it going to be like the Spider-Man games? I don't know, like, because obviously Spider-Man is way different from Wolverine. You know, Spider-Man is obviously, he's what's the term? I guess he holds his punches back, or he doesn't, like, you know, hit as hard. Obviously with Wolverine, he just straight up like murders you or kills you with his like claws. But with Spider-Man, you do have this mobility of like feeling kind of acrobatic in a way, of like moving to one enemy to another. Obviously, you know, when we think of, you know, combat for superhero games, we always go back to, you know, the Arkham combat, or that free flow combat of style of gameplay, and moving to one enemy and moving to another enemy and feeling kind of like a rhythm to it. And so I'm just wondering for this game, will you be like jumping to one enemy into one enemy, building up a combo of stuff to basically do like certain takedowns or certain, like, you know, I guess, yeah, takedowns in a way. And so, yeah, I do think there will be like, you know, you'll get like a prompt to do a triangle and circle, and that will prompt like an actual, like, you know, cinematic like takedown, I guess, in a way, just like, you know, the Spider-Man games do that as well. Yeah, I'm just really interested to see how vast the combat will be, and how just like the idea of how will you just be able to like pop the claws like whenever is that just going to be a button press, or like in combat, like how these are the things that like you know, or that I'm thinking in my brain, and just in terms of like gameplay. And will you get different weapons in this game, or is it just going to be the claws that you get in this game as well? Those are the things that I think about. But yeah, in terms of just like the gameplay that we've seen so far, it looks good already, and so I am just interested to see what else will we see, and how advanced will how advanced will the combat be just in general. And so, yeah. Okay, so that is my entire list of things that I had for my, I guess, Marvel's Wolverine wish list, or things that could possibly show up, or things that, you know, just in terms of like gameplay and everything, or what things could be in the game. Let me know in the comments section below what you want in the Marvel's Wolverine game, or anything that I listed, or those things that you would like to see in the game. Maybe there's things that I didn't list in my list that you want in the game. Leave all your, you know, things that you would want to see in Marvel's Wolverine in the comments down below. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, and I will see you guys on the next one. So yeah, bye.